Guys, it's me, Vince Ryder. I usually do webtoon reads, but I decided for this weekend, I just didn't feel like it. And also, I just decided to why not I just spend time doing these reviews, some of the movies that are coming out, and one of the biggest one that is coming out is Wakanda Forever. Now, of course, I watched the Black Panther, the first Black Panther. That was years ago. God, it was with me and my boy Stefan. We talked about it a little bit, but of course, that channel that I had at the time was permanently deleted. Thanks to YouTube. I still will never forget. Okay, I still remember that time. It just when your channel's terminated, it sucks. But here I am in my new channel, in my current time, and pretty much as I'm watching this, uh, I felt those tones the same way I felt from the first one, which is like the culture, the setting, the environment, the colors, the fact that ancestry. And for those that don't know, a lot of people don't know about me, but if there's one thing I'm into, is that it's when it comes down to, I always been a huge fan of African culture. That idea of some place out there that has not been colonized can definitely have an impact in many things. And I know there's some places in Africa to probably have a little bit of colonization, like South Africa and also some of the French nations. But when I think about Africa and how the idea of it being futuristic could have been the most coolest. Like it's just the most coolest thing that to me, honestly, when it comes down to African culture. And I've always been interested of it. I always cheer it. It's always been like the underdog of many worlds, of many things surrounding our planet. And also it was the time when I remember when I was really deep into African culture, when I was studying it and understanding it, how it's basically the first ever, like every single ancestry is based in Africa. So of course that aspect of my love for Black Panther is stemmed from that, because it's what I like. Now, pretty much, of course, I'm going to talk about the issues within Wakanda Forever, like this whole like notion that it was woke and whatever, and pretty much I don't know if I see it a little bit. Of course, I saw it in the nearest end here and there, but yeah, basically when it comes down to any movie, there's only the things that I mostly know it for. And when it comes down to my reviews, I'm not the best reviewer, by the way. Okay, listen, pretty much each movie I have ever watched, I always treat it like a last dish, a last meal, because I cherish it. I don't care how bad it is. I understand that many people will see this movie and be like, "Wow, it's bad. It's so bad," and I can see why. I can see some of the aspects, especially the ending here and there, is hit or miss, especially the fights and the rivals and stuff like that. But I'm not here to spoil that, or spoil anything. What I'm here to actually let you know is that when it comes down to story writing and also the world building of Black Panther, which is basically at this point about ancestries hidden in different different worlds, especially discovering the Mayan worlds. Like that was the coolest thing that I have ever seen. The biggest highlight is understanding where Nomar came from, which is the Mayan, universe of under the sea, basically, not Atlantis or anything, or wherever Aquaman is from. But this is kind of like almost like a cooler and yet very visually, more. It's kind of like a more down to earth way. It's the same thing when it comes down to certain, like for example, Maldives or any or the Bahamas, the islands. But one thing that a lot of times that they're not known for is how the culture outside of the fancy city and the tourist attractions. Why not the deep? Like in Hawaii, like why people will go to Waikiki, in the big city in Honolulu. But what about the culture surrounding Hawaii? What about the other islands, Kona Island, or some of the surrounding islands that are a bit smaller? But what about that authentic, like Hawaiian Polynesian, culture? I think that's what I got my takeaway when I went to Hawaii, is that understanding the outsides of the cities. That's what I kind of look at when it comes down to these different areas in Wakanda and in what was it, the Mayan? I call it the Mayan place because I kind of forget about the name at the moment. I'm sorry, it starts with a T, but I can't say it because I know I will mess it up because I'm American and my accent probably won't say it. The same thing probably had a hard time saying Namor or Namor. Is that how you say it? Like I don't know. Pretty much for a person like me that's not really into Marvel comics, that is not into comics in general. I mean, unless it's like love and pretty much centered in webtoons, like what I'm known for. But when it comes down to just the superhero comic, Superman issue, the blah 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 blah. I'm just not. It's not my style. Okay, I don't know what I don't know what to tell you. Okay, I know it's beginning to have a resurgence and have this built in community within it, but I'm not part of that because I look at these movies from my enjoyment of what I take from it. And I'm just looking at the whole world of Wakanda other than the what I'm supposed to look at in front of me. And I'm just that kind of really determines my ways of reviewing it because I truly enjoyed the environment, the vibe of the movie. Maybe it's because I haven't been to a movie theater for a while or something like that. So it just creates that. And pretty much, yeah, it was a little bit dragging at times, especially in the middle where it feels like a little bit here and there, especially when we get to Boston, or not Boston, somewhere in Massachusetts where we met this girl, and it kind of feels like I don't understand dragging, even though there's some funny parts to it, but I don't know what it is. There was a part of me where I'm like, okay, I think I know where this is going because I do see some predictions of like where some of the storylines and some of the tropes are coming in, and I kind of understand that, but overall, the whole entire movie, from my enjoyment, it is the environment, the cultures, and seeing the world surrounding, especially I guess it's more so compared to the characters. The characters, okay, Shuri was all right, and I understand that this movie pretty much unfortunately was missing someone that was I never thought would be so much more special, even though it is. It is, it's Black Panther, and you can't make Black Panther without the main character that pretty much everyone knows at this point. T'Challa was always like the one that really carries so much of what Black Panther is, and something that is so memorable, especially the first movie. And for this one, it's just like, it just feels left out. It just feels like, there were some parts where I'm just like, I kind of feel bad, and also like I have to give, May props to the story. From what I heard, the story of this wasn't supposed to go with this way, the way it's supposed to go within this particular movie. There's a certain other way for, the actual, T'Challa, for Chadwick, for the actual Black Panther. But of course, unfortunately, for the obvious reasons of what happened, and I'm not gonna get into it because I try my best not to make this sad as it is. Pretty much they had to remake it. They have to actually remake a lot of decisions of writing the story, and man, it just feels so hard, especially as a writer. You can imagine how depressing and how exhausting that can be, and pretty much they did the best they can. They did the best they can for the story. That's why when it dragged, when there's some parts where, the story got too long, there's a part of me where I'm just like, I don't see the point. I don't see anything bad about it because at least I understand. And, I see these videos, and here's the thing. Here's the thing about me. The loudest, minority tends to really overturn some of the decisions again. When it comes down to me talking about any movie, any product, any comic, that's the same thing with Webtoon. For example, pretty much in Webtoon, there's this popular Webtoon that, that I've been reading in this channel called Boyfriends. And let me tell you, the controversy surrounding Boyfriends, and I'm not going to get into it, of the creator and stuff like that, tends to overshadow a lot of my enjoyment for the Boyfriends because the whole time I'm just like, trying to find what is wrong. The same thing with this movie. I try to find what is wrong with the movie. From what I heard, they say it's too woke. It's too, they didn't really cherish the name much. The story was here, hit or miss. There's some decisions that, and I kind of see a little bit here and that. I'm not saying this movie is perfect, but it was good enough for me to enjoy, just to understand they did their best. And I can see how they did their best. And I can see how this is just all about, women empowerment and stuff like that. And, if it's done in a good way, then it's okay. But if it's there's a part of me where it's well, the movie itself, and listen, I'm gonna try not to get into spoilers, but the enemies itself, at least it's not like, and this is not really spoiling much, but anything, but at least the enemy is not, pretty much most enemies that Disney makes are usually a white guy, but this time it isn't. It's someone else, and it's this like narrative surrounding the story that actually makes me kind of curious of like where the No More's coming from, and also Shuri's coming from, and it all what basically what this movie deals with is grief, and it makes sense of why it deals with that. But also, and hopefully this is not a spoiler, it deals with anger, it deals with emotions, it deals with something that you deal with that you can't get rid of, but your actions of what you do determines that. And I felt that. I felt that through Shuri and how she really deals with that. And pretty much within any aspect of the movie itself centers around a lot of characters with what they're going through. It was so refreshing to see some returning characters or returning people that is part of the Wakanda, allegiance, or whatever like term name that you kind of give them, like title or whatever. I don't remember their names mostly. I think I know Shuri and Riri. Apologies if I don't remember the mother. I'm sorry. Okay, but I think I watched this in a way where it's the same thing with anything else. I enjoy a lot of times the environment most of the times. And when I was watching this movie, I really start to understand of why I'm not good at reviews. I understand why that I don't pay a lot of attentions, because I'm just a person that, if you take me to any city, I'm looking up at the skyscrapers. I'm admiring the view more than what's basically in front of me sometimes. And man, do I actually learn that, lesson purely as, I watch this. And because I start to realize, I'm like, well, yep, that's the person I am, all right. But man, this movie itself it was pretty good, I don't know about the marketing surrounding it or whatever and all these stuff, but with other stuff that Disney makes, a lot of times it's always easy to actually look at it and be like, not be bothered by the politics or whatever. But I can understand why there's like a little bit politics here and there, but I could be wrong. Pretty much in my field of reviewing stuff, I am, I subscribe to people that are just looking at, they look at the certain movies and pretty much they have a different eye to me. They have a better eye when it comes to review. They see what's wrong about it. For me, I can't see it. I just listen. If you pay a certain amount to watch a movie, you freaking enjoy the movie, and and I enjoyed whatever I want. Okay, if I play any game, if I play Ragnarok, I don't care about the freaking storyline campaign. I don't know if it's an open world, but man, I'll be all over the world. Okay, I'll be all over side missions and everything, over completing, and spending a lot of time in one place basically. And that's me in a sense when it's the same thing when it comes down to movies. You know what I mean? So other than that, and here I am. I'm supposed to give my quick thoughts, but here's the thing: this is a freaking 3 hour movie or 2 hour. It feels like 3 hours. Shoot, it feels like freaking 10 hours. Sometimes there's times where I'm just sitting down. I'm like, damn, my booty hurts. I don't know how to really, how am I gonna summon all this when my booty hurts this bad? But my goodness, the visuals, the colors of the movie was, it was spot on to me. Especially the fighting scenes were like, yes, yes, that kind of whole deal. Especially the big guy Jabari was definitely like getting me hype in some moments of those, for sure. And the fighting scenes and the energy that it brings, I feel like almost everything is sort of sensed in a way that it's supposed to be perfect. Sure, just like, or especially the most of it of in this kind of style. And this is one thing I noticed within the Black Panther movie. Everything just happens to be perfect. It just happens to be perfect. And there were some moments where there was flaws and mistakes and stuff like that, as I tried to avoid spoilers and stuff, where I'm just like, oh, well, I thought this was gonna go perfectly. Well, this happened. And expectations go over expectations a lot of times with what I seen. And overall, like, I just really love the idea of like having certain ancestry, and it's just cool to me. Okay, it's just cool. It's not something where I'm just like, whoa, this is what we need. This is something I praise. Oh my God, we need more of this. We need more of this representation and stuff like that. Listen, if it's cool and if it's something that I dig, especially man, everything I seen in freaking Shuri's lab or in the Wakanda Center or whatever you may call it, I'm not familiar with the Marvel universe. I'm gonna be honest, but you know what I mean. In the lab, and where and make all, especially this DNA thing that she's touching or whatever. Everything just looks freaking cool. The shoes that she wears. I noticed that she's probably a sneakerhead. I'm not sure. The character for the actor for Shuri. Like I can see what shoes she rocking. Okay, she got the Adidas. She got some weird kind of Adidas with the bouncy, like I don't know what they're called actually. They're just I'm just looking at them like, you're seriously walking on those? I mean, God, okay, sure, but I really enjoyed, like, just how it really sort of sits in with me of just like seeing it all true, and as I'm trying to really pick what aspects that I enjoyed. Overall, I enjoyed pretty much most of it so far. There were some parts where I'm just like, okay, I can see why people are mad about that. But for me, it was good. I mean, it's a little, long. I wish, I think this would be much more cleaner if they all come, just come back in some ways where it's just like all together in once. And also, like, the fight scenes really cover it, especially understanding the abilities that the Mayans have. And I call it the Mayans, the Aztecs, whatever you might call it, the ancestries, okay? The Mayans itself for sure. And the idea of, like, how the world is sort of like this enemy in some cases. I like how they really go into that, knowing that, no, that's not true. Okay, that's not true. There's nice people out there. You can't invade out there, especially people on the surface, and have the freaking, like, I can't imagine a future of that in ways, but it goes there. Other than that, enough about what I'm talking about. I probably should stop before I spoil something. This is supposed to be a non-spoiler review. But then again, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, if you're watching this, you probably have to see the movie first. If I got to be honest, okay, I don't know who would actually watch this. Be like, I haven't seen Black Panther. Might watch this review, and you might. Okay, you might, and I appreciate you. But to be, safe, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, my brain. Listen, I'm on a freaking rope. Okay, I'm walking on a rope. Okay, I'm a slip. I'm a slip. Okay, my nuts might hit the rope and boom, I'm out. I'm down. I'm falling. I'm falling. But who's gonna get me up? Nobody. Okay, so I'm just letting you know before you walk on that rope. Just make sure. Let me tell you, you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. Okay, don't be thinking like, I'm not gonna fall, Vince. You're gonna fall. The same thing you're watching this video. There might be spoiler. There might be something that might slip out of my tongue, and I'm like, damn, shoot, why did I say that? Oopsies, that kind of deal. But man, I enjoyed Wakanda. Wakanda was something so deep to me because I really enjoyed the first movie. I really enjoyed. I cannot. I remember talking about it. The soundtracks from it. And especially the presence of all of it. The culture is something that deep and within me because I've never been to Africa. It's always a place where I'm just so curious. I'm just like, and I felt carried to it. I just, I was like, man, I wish I was black. And I'm gonna tell you right now, is Vince Black? Listen, if I tell you, if you see my face and I told you I was African American, you will laugh so hard, okay? I guarantee you. You will laugh so hard because ain't no way this hopper face with my caramel, very, pale skin is gonna, and also my pointy hair is gonna make you think I'm like, black. No ways, okay? There was a phase. I'm gonna be honest. There was a phase that, I had a huge, like, and I'm gonna expose myself. I was a huge black wannabe. Just listen to the way I talk. Just listen to what I'm interested in and stuff like that. It's all stem, and pretty much my whole entire persona stem from black culture. Yes, it's Vince. That what was that word again? Cooperating, or something like that. Incorporating. I can't say the word. I can't speak at this point. I'm supposed to sleep, but let me tell you, if there's anything that in some stems around black culture, I'm just obsessed with it. I just love it. Is that weird to say? I don't think that's weird to say. Just anything that, my whole attitude and everything. And what do you want from me? Look, I grew up in a black neighborhood. Like I don't know. Who's going to counsel me for actually being like that? There wouldn't be Vince if it wasn't for the black folks that I grew up with, the black culture that I always, sort of like been a huge inspiration for me personally as a person that, really expresses himself. And I take that and I take it with me. And also in some ways, it really sort of like implants the person that I am today of knowing that, you know what, I can, and it inspires many people, especially the ones like me that grow up in a very tough neighborhood. And from seeing this movie itself and stuff like that, I don't know why it made me think of that. Maybe think of that because it made me think of also like the last movie with the I forget who the villain was or something like that. But man, you know, culture itself really will stick to you in many ways. Amen. Other than that, I'm out. Okay, I ramble too much. Listen, Wakanda Forever. If it's long, I might as well make my review long. Okay, you understand me? It's a good movie. Wakanda Forever, and rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. My goodness, what a hero. Peace.